Waqt ekonomija llum, it-tbassir tal-Fond Monetarju Internazzjonali dwar l-ekonomija globali, il-President tal-Bank Ċentrali Ewropew dwar l-inflazzjoni, il-Gvern Ġermaniż jgħin fl-investiment ta' fabbrika tal-batteriji. Iżda se nibdew bl-azzjoni legali li qed tittieħed kontra Apple fl-Istati Uniti. Il-kumpaniji tat teknoloġija bħal Meta, Google u Apple kull ma jmur qed isibu gvernijiet li jopponuhom, kemm għax qed isiru b'saħħithom wisq kif ukoll għax qed jiġu akkużati li qed jeskludu lil kompetituri iżgħar u qed joħolqu monopolji. L-Unjoni Ewropea u l-Parlament Ewropew ħadu diversi inizjattivi biex inaqsu l-monopolji, l-kontrolli tad-dejta u l-bqija permezz tal-att dwar is-swieq diġitali. Issa il-Gvern tal-Istati Uniti u 15 stat fetħu kawża kontra Apple u akkużaw lil kumpanija li bil-mod kif topera fis-suq tal-smartphones qed toħloq dannu lil kompetituri u qed tolli l-prezzijiet tal-prodotti tagħha b'dannu għall-konsumaturi. Il-kumpanija Apple għandha valur ta' kważi $3 triljun. Id-Dipartiment tal-Ġustizzja tal-Istati Uniti qed jipprova jindirizza l-mudell tan-negozju tal-kumpanija biex ma tibqax b'saħħitha daqstant u biex il-konsumaturi kollhom għażla aktar wiesa ta' x'apps jużaw fuq l-smartphones ta' Apple.
If left unchallenged, Apple will only continue to strengthen its smartphone monopoly. But there's a law for that. The Justice Department will vigorously enforce antitrust law. Enforcing the law protects consumers from higher prices and fewer choices. Apple has maintained monopoly power in the smartphone market not simply by staying ahead of the competition on the merits, but by violating federal antitrust law. Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. We allege that Apple has employed a strategy that relies on exclusionary, anti-competitive conduct that hurts both consumers and developers. And in our complaint, we allege that Apple has consolidated its monopoly power not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse. As set out in our complaint, Apple has maintained its power not because of its superiority, because of its unlawful exclusionary behavior. Monopolies like Apple's threaten the free and fair markets upon which our economy is based.
Mhux kulħadd jaqbel mal-azzjoni legali li l-Gvern Amerikan qed jieħu kontra Apple. Dawn l-intervisti nġibdu fuq il-kampus tal-Università ta' California, Berkeley.
If you are not happy with the price, you don't have to buy it. They are not threatening you to buy it, right? So, and Apple is a company to make profit for their own. So I don't think it's a big deal.
I feel like it's absurd how high something that we utilize and honestly need, like a lot of us need them for our professional lives, for our, school lives, for our everyday lives. And for something that can be so out of range for the majority of Americans just trying to survive, it's over $1,000 for a tool that you need every day. Like our bank stuff is in here, our financials, everything, our email, it's ridiculous because Samsung is just as much. Their phones are over $1,000. Yeah, if not close.
Honestly, I think it is. It's kind of unfair, personally, to me, just to keep it high. But at the end of the day, they did monopolize the iPhone first. It was like the main contributor to smartphones nowadays. I guess they do have the ability to keep the prices high because people are going to keep buying them no matter what. Apple, it's infamous, it's famous at the same time. People are going to give money, even if it's a useless product or a useful product. It's like today's version of fashion, I guess you would say, technology-wise.
I feel like in some sense it might check out. I'm not well versed enough to have a fully informed and talk about it, but if they have all the evidence, I would probably support them because it does seem very arbitrarily high.
L-isma ta' Apple niżlu fil-valur madwar 3.6%. Kelliem l-kumpanija qed jiġħad dawk illi sejjaħ allegazzjonijiet li qed isiru mill-Gvern Amerikan. Tkompli t-tellieqa fil-manifattura ta' batteriji bil-lithium, il-batteriji li nsibu fl-apparat kollu li nużaw, mill-karozzi sal-smartphones. Il-kanċellier Ġermaniż Olaf Scholz fil-jiem li għaddew poġġa il-pedamenti, b'mod simboliku ovvjament, tal-bini ta' fabbrika tal-batteriji tal-kumpanija Nordvolt. Fabbrika li qed tinbena qrib Ħajde. Scholz fisser dan l-investiment bħala ta' importanza strateġika u li ma bħala mhux biss għall-Ġermanja iżda wkoll għall-bqija tal-Ewropa. Scholz spjega li dan l-investiment għandu jgħin l-industrija tal-karozzi biex tibqa' b'saħħitha anki fil-mument meta qed issir il-qalba bil-mod mill-magni tal-fuels għal batteriji bl-elettriku. Din il-fabbrika se toħloq ukoll 3000 impjieg ġdid direttament ma' Nordvolt, filwaqt li fir-reġjun tal-madwar huma mistennija jinħolqu 10,000 post ta' xogħol ġdid. Scholz fisser dan kollu bħala opportunità għan negozji żgħar u medji ta' Ħajde.
The reason why we came here to Schleswig-Holstein and to Heide is that we found, the perfect spot where onshore, offshore wind and we actually found a spot in Germany where you have energy surplus, and we got fantastic support by the German government.
Il-fabrika ta' Nordvolt qed tingħata għajnuna finanzjarja mill-gvernijiet federali u statali li tammonta għal madwar 700 miljun euro. Dan minn barra diversi garanziji fuq madwar 200 miljun euro oħra illi qatt iridu jiġu approvati. Il-produzzjoni tal-batteriji minn Nordvolt f'din il-fabrika mistennija tibda fl-2026. Il-Fond Monetarju Internazzjonali jinsab qalbu qawwija li l-ekonomija dinjija hija reżiljenti biżżejjed u li tkabbir se jkompli jirranka l fuq fix-xhur u snin li ġejjin. Stqardan Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas, wieħed mill-uffiċjali tal-IMF waqt it-tnedija tal-World Economic Outlook, id-tbassir ekonomiku dinji tal-IMF.
The global economy continues to display remarkable resilience, with inflation declining steadily and growth holding up. The chance of a soft landing has increased, but the pace of expansion remains slow and risks remain.
L-IMF qed ibassar l-ekonomija globali din is-sena għandha tikber bi 3.1% u bi 3.2% is-sena d-dieħla.
Back in the beginning of 2023, there were a preponderance of risks to the downside for economic activity and to the upside for inflation. We were seeing maybe inflation being very persistent. There were a lot of concerns about the fact that the fight against inflation would potentially bring a recession. And 1 year later, we are in a situation where growth has held steady and inflation has been coming down. So there's certainly a very good development.
L-IMF iqis li l-inflazzjoni qed tonqos brata aċċettabbli ħafna f'reġjuni differenti madwar id-dinja. Din is-sena se tkun inqas minn 6% b'mod globali u fl-2025 mistennija tinżel sa 4.4%.
So we are seeing potential for maybe if central banks remain too tight for too long, there could be a slowdown in economic activity, or if there is a tightening of financial conditions, or if there is another round of supply shocks, for instance, there could be downside to the global economy. But there can also be upside to the global economy. Inflation could be continuing to come down back toward targets, allowing central banks to ease faster.
L-analista ta' l-IMF esprima t-tama li l-Banek Ċentrali l-kbar ikunu kapaċi jaqraw id-dejta li qed tidħol biex jieħdu deċiżjonijiet f'waqthom dwar meta għandhom jaqtaw ir-rati ta' interess.
So you put all of this together, and what we are seeing, and we are agreeing with that assessment, is central banks holding off on easing until maybe the second half of 2024, and then that's when we anticipate that the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, and others might start easing.
Lenti wkoll fuq l-Afrika, b'mod partikolari n-Niġerja u l-Afrika t'isfel, bid-deputat ekonomista ewlieni tal-IMF Daniel Lee jistqar il-riformi li qed isiru għandhom iżidu l-fiduċja tal-investituri u dan għandu jħalli impatt fuq it-tkabbir.
So addressing the governance weaknesses, this is not only in the current context in South Africa, but across the region, Sub-Saharan Africa, there are a number of structural bottlenecks, and this is what could create the environment to attract that investment, including from richer, advanced countries where there is the capital, to bring it here to this potentially very dynamic region.
Il-Fond Monetarju Internazzjonali joħroġ id-tbassir ekonomiku tiegħu 4 darbiet fis-sena. Il-President tal-Bank Ċentrali Ewropew Christine Lagarde qalet li kienet biss azzjoni f'waqta deċiżiva u koordinata li waslet biex iddaqqitta l-isfidi li għaddiet minnhom id-dinja fl-aħħar snin, sfidi ta' saħħa, gwerer u l-bqija, ittaffew kemm jista' jkun malajr. Lagarde qalet dan kif iltaqet mal-Kumitat tal-Affarijiet Ekonomiċi u Monetarji tal-Parlament Ewropew.
This legislative term has been shaped by a succession of crises. From COVID-19 to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the energy crisis, renewed conflict in the Middle East, to name a few. These challenges have required EU institutions within our respective mandates to take decisive action and to coordinate closely across policy areas to ensure that Europe emerges stronger and better prepared for the future.
Madwar l-Unjoni Ewropea b'mod ġenerali l-inflazzjoni naqset, sinjal tajjeb u mistenni, qalet Lagarde.
According to the latest flash estimate, inflation, as you indicated, edged down to 2.8% in January 2024 after increasing by 0.5 percentage point in December. This rebound in December from November had been widely expected, but was actually weaker than we had anticipated. Overall, the latest data confirm the ongoing disinflation process and is expected to bring us gradually further down over 2024 as the impact of past upward shocks fades and tight financing conditions help to push inflation down.
Il-mira tal-Bank Ċentrali Ewropew hija li fi żmien li ġej l-inflazzjoni tkompli tonqos u biex dan ikun possibbli ir-rati tal-interessi qed jinżammu fil-livelli attwali.
We decided to keep our key policy interest rate unchanged. These interest rates are at level that, maintained for a sufficiently long duration, will make a substantial contribution to ensuring that inflation returns to our 2% medium-term target in a timely manner.
Din kienet waħda minn 4 laqat li l-President tal-Bank Ċentrali Ewropew ikollha fis-sena mal-Kumitat tal-Affarijiet Ekonomiċi u Monetarji tal-Parlament Ewropew